What's going on, good people? What's going on, Giants fans? OTA 6 in the books. The week is done. Next week they're wrapping up OTAs next week. But OTA 6, New York Giants back on the field. And guess who else was back in the building? Steve Smith. Steve Smith was at a New York Giants practice for the second day in a row. Again, anytime we can get this guy in the building, hopefully the young guys are soaking in all the information that they can get from a guy like Steven Smith. I know if I was there, I would be doing the same thing. But listen, a lot of reports. Media was not in the building. No beat writers in the building today. Had to go to Giants.com. Dan Salamone, John Schmelk, shout out to you guys for giving us the information, giving us the breakdowns, the takeaways, the touchdowns, and stuff like that, all on Giants.com. So everything that I'm going to provide for you right now is straight off of the website, straight off of Giants.com. So from what I was reading, it was a good practice for the defense today. And when I'm looking at some of the things that they were talking about, the secondary had a fantastic day today, especially in the early portion of the practice. Now, I'm going down the list of names and I'm reading everything that the guys are talking about, this being Dan Salamone and John Schmelk, and almost everybody on the defensive side was mentioned. When you talk about the secondary, Nubin, and shout out to Nubin signing his contract today. The whole draft class is signed right now. He was the last one to sign his contract. He got that done, and guess what? He was making plays today. Had a touchdown. He broke up a touchdown pass today, and also broke up a couple passes after that. But yeah, they were mentioning everybody when it came to the secondary. You got Nubin making plays. Andrew Phillips had a pass breakup. Pinnock with a couple of forced incompletions. Deontay Banks got the only interception of the day. Even Trey Hawkins was making plays. Trey Hawkins is breaking. The defense, the secondary had a fantastic day today, especially in the early portion of the practice. Now, they did do a little 7-on-7 and, of course, 11-on-11, and they worked in the red zone again. But from what I'm hearing, that Daniel Jones had a connection with Theo Johnson. Also, Drew Lock had a connection, back shoulder throw to Theo Johnson. Darius Slayton getting involved again. Got his extension. Don't know how to act. He over here making plays in practice as soon as he, figured out his money situation. So I'm assuming that he's happy. He's making plays in practice. I didn't hear much about Daniel Bellinger because I was asking. Pat Leonard had a live yesterday. I'll just say Thursday. I don't know when, anybody, you guys are watching this. But Pat Leonard had his live on Thursday. I was able to ask a few questions to him. And one of the questions, because I didn't see it or anybody else mentioned it, I was asking if Daniel Bellinger was in the building. Because Daniel Bellinger was not at last week's practices, if I'm not mistaken. But he was at the practice on Thursday. And, how he looks, stuff like that. But you're not hearing too much about Daniel Bellinger. But you're hearing a lot of Theo Johnson. I'm hearing his name. I'm seeing his name. I'm reading his name a lot during his OTAs. And guess what? Daniel Bellinger wasn't there last week. Theo Johnson taking advantage of every opportunity that he's given. And you guys know me. I'm a big Daniel Bellinger fan. I'm rooting for Daniel Bellinger. I told you guys how I felt about how we did him last year. I think we did him wrong. Some things were out of necessity. We had to keep him in a chip block. But this guy is an all-around tight end who can make plays, who's valuable, also receiving as well as, blocking. Theo Johnson, untapped potential. We saw what his RAS score is. We saw how he did at the combine. His college stats don't match up to his potential. But again, we're hearing early in practice now, Theo Johnson is being targeted heavy. So now you have Daniel Bellinger, you have Theo Johnson. Do you really have a situation where we got two good young tight ends? That's the situation. That's what we could be looking at right now, and I'm happy about that because guess what? Tight ends are a quarterback's best friend, for sure, especially when you're not throwing it deep, especially when you're checking it down, especially when when you're trying to move the sticks a little bit. You need to trust in your tight ends. And listen, you got Theo Johnson, who's almost 6'7". Daniel Bellinger is 6'5". They both 250, 260 pounds. These are big targets, and we have to find ways to get these two guys the ball. Now, I'm talking about tight ends. I'm not talking about Darren Waller. By now, everybody has seen the music video. Everybody has said or shared their opinion about the music video. Here's the thing, just man to man when it comes to Darren Waller. Do whatever you need to do to get your mind right. Music is therapy. That's an outlet. The video was a little weird. You got stabbed in the back. Everybody knows knows what you're talking about. The situation is public. Divorce is most likely right around the corner. We already know you guys split up. But listen, music is therapy. So whatever you need to do to get your mind right, fantastic. Now, when it comes to the football side of things, listen, you got to make your mind up quickly. June 1st is when? Tomorrow. This is Friday night. Depending on when you guys are watching this, June 1st is right here. It's a money situation now. Nothing personal, strictly business. You might have to come off a couple $1 million, Darren Waller, either show up. That's all I'm saying. Mini camp is right around the corner too. Mandatory mini camp is right around the corner. That decision has to be made. Joe Shane might say he's not rushing you. Brian Dable might say he's not rushing you. But I think the fan base is absolutely rushing you. Okay, yeah. So also, strong showing for the defensive front as well. You're seeing Dexter Lawrence making plays. He batted down two passes in practice. They said that Brian Burns had would-be sacks. I know some people they make fun of the saying would-be sacks, but it's real. Brian Burns would have had 2 sacks is what I'm reading. Kayvon Thibodeau got involved. Azeez Ojulari, Boogie Basham. They're naming a lot of people that are making plays. They was getting busy today in practice. And that's pause. But I like to hear these kind of things. I wish that the media was in the building today to let us know for sure, and to also get us more video of these guys making these plays. And then speaking of plays, and again, you probably have seen this already. The play of the day, the catch of practice goes to Jalen Hyatt. Again, they were working in the red zone. I saw the clip. Tommy DeVito to Jalen Hyatt, corner of the end zone, one-handed grab, double catch, and a toe tap. And the man was hyped after that. Double catch, toe tap. One hand to gather it, 2 hands for the double catch and the toe tap. It's a touchdown. Now listen, I was in a heated discussion, a heated debate yesterday on Twitter in regards to what does it mean to really be open? Like, how do you know if a guy is open or not? What's the difference between being open in college and being open in the NFL? There's a big difference between the two, because college open is wide open when it comes to the NFL. NFL open, you know what? You just beat the guy that's next to you. That's the difference. If I want to break it down, very briefly, that's the difference between college open and NFL open. And here's the thing: Jalen Hyatt made that catch today. Was he wide open? Absolutely not. Was he slightly open? From what I'm seeing, not really. But the quarterback made the play, made a throw, and allowed his wide receiver to make a play. And that's all we're asking for this season. Give your guys, whether it's Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, give these guys the chance to make the play. Because guess what? A lot of people are not making that throw. A lot of people, well, I can't even say a lot of people. Some people are not making that throw. Some people are not taking that chance, especially when it comes to the end zone. But guess what? You do it in practice, because that's when hey, you know what? I can do this or I can't do this. But you have to attempt it, at least in practice. If you make you know what? I can take this chance in the game because I've seen it already. But when it comes to, you know what? I'm just not going to even take it. You're not giving your guys a chance to make the play. And that's the biggest thing about the New York Giants. We have playmakers now. Allow your playmakers to do what? Make plays, please. So yes, they're not wide open, but what's really wide open, or what's open in the NFL? That's where the gray area is. And to me, sometimes the quarterback and the wide receiver have a special kind of connection where they can put the ball in places where, the wide receiver is the only one that can get it. Or guess what? The worst case scenario, you throw it out of bounds, but you're targeting these guys. Let these guys get the target. Let these guys get a chance to stretch their legs. Let these guys, have a chance to make a play on the ball. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You guys understand where I'm going with this. But yeah, so outside of that, I'm happy with what I saw about the practice. Offense made a couple of plays, handful of plays here. Oh yeah, Bryce Ford Wheaton. That's another guy. His name came up today. got himself a pair of touchdowns today. One of them was a back shoulder throw in the end zone. I can't remember who it was from. If it was 11 on 11, it's probably going to be Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito. But Bryce Ford Wheaton, and again, this is a guy that Pat Leonard was talking about last night during his live. For me, and I went back and forth with Pat a little bit about it because I like Bryce Ford Wheaton. I like what he brings to the table, but the numbers game is crazy. When you look at that wide receiver room, he has to be outstanding in this summer to make this 53. And not just at receiver, also in special teams, as a gunner or whatever. But I like Bryce Ford Wheaton. I like that his name is being mentioned, in the OTAs. When Pat Leonard was at the practice, when the media had access, he was talking about how Bryce Ford Wheaton is making a play every time he's seen him. Him and the rookie wide receiver UDFA Asante. He's another guy. The numbers game is not in their favor, but they have to continue to take advantage of the opportunities that they're given. And so when I saw Bryce Ford Wheaton's name today, I was happy to see that because again, if I have to pick between Bryce Ford Wheaton and I think he's ascending versus a guy like Allen Robinson, guess what? I'm going to take the guy who's ascending instead of the guy that's, yes, he's a solid veteran, but he's on his last leg and stuff like that. And not saying that's going to be the decision between those two, but I'm just saying for me, if I'm building this team up, give me the young guy that I might have here for a couple more years versus the veteran, even though he's savvy and might have some left in the tank. When you look at this Giants team for real, when you look at the wide receiver room for real, there's 4 wide receivers that's going to get the majority of the snaps. Everybody after that has to contribute either on special teams or in, certain packages. And if I'm picking between Bryce Ford Wheaton and Allen Robinson, if Bryce Ford Wheaton continues to make plays the way that he's making plays, then I'm going to go ahead and give the nod to Bryce Ford Wheaton over a guy like Allen Robinson. I haven't heard much about McKenzie, and I also didn't hear anything about or update on Gunnar Olszewski. We'll see what happens with that. But right now, they got a little bit of a break. They'll continue the OTAs next week, and that's going to be this episode. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.